Gentleman yields. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for coming today, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I also want to thank our members for what I think was a very collaborative and cooperative, good tone set of questions. We had, some important things to do here. Ask questions of accountability and to determine the responsiveness of the company to the report. But we also had to protect, because the bad guys are watching. And so we had to be careful. I want to thank you, too, for the time you've spent in our office just going over some of this stuff as well. I know you made yourself available both to the ranking member and myself, and really appreciate that. He asked most of my questions about transparency and things like that. So I just will say this, and sometimes government in this public-private partnership that we talked about a couple of times, several members brought it up, sometimes government can kind of get in the way too, and I want to ask that you, educate us as much as possible. I'll give you an example. The SEC ruling on a 4-day report for a breach and those kinds of things. I'm under, some of the big cybersecurity companies, the biggest in the nation, have told me it's a 7 or 8 day to fix a breach. If we're announcing to the world that at 4 days we got a hole in the wall and it takes 7 days to close the hole, we're inviting, this is government forcing companies across the country to invite the enemy to come in, right? So that's a stupid regulation. And so we need help on understanding where the government also creates problems. So I'd appreciate anything comes to mind you pick up the phone and call us, okay? And one of the initiatives here, we talked about cyber workforce. One of the other initiatives is the synchronization of the regulations that are out there and to make sure that we're not duplicitous and that we're not contradictory. And as I understand it, there are some regulations that are. So again, we'd ask your company to help us and the competitors who are in the room to understand where government kind of gets in the way of actual cybersecurity. Because if we're causing you to have duplicitous effort, that's money that could be spent on real cybersecurity. So in this partnership, we need communication, not just on the issues that are brought up here with this breach that was identified, but how we can make things better and work better on how we regulate and create compliance requirements, things like that.